You know, people like Hall of Famers like Booker T and even YWC uh, reviewers, analysisers, part-time commentators for companies like House of Glory, like Solomonster, Jason Solomon. When they come on here and they talk about potentially where Sasha Banks, Mercedes Keveb, I think that's her name, uh, could land once she is gone from WWE, if she is getting close to being so. One of the main areas, one of the main places people always point to is AEW. AEW, AEW. Yes, they mention Impact. Yes, they mention New Japan, Stardom. Well, Stardom is part of New Japan because they're owned by the same people, but still. They mention all these other places, MLW, if you want to look at it that way, or even AAA. And these are all a lot of great options. Or even if she wants to take a break from professional wrestling and go Hollywood, that's a great option there too. But when Booker T and even before him, Solomonster, Jason Solomon, come out and say that AEW may not be the best place for her right now, it's not, from what I'm getting, the vibe I'm getting from this, I believe it's not to knock her from going. They probably wouldn't mind if she went anyway. I mean, AEW is better than nothing, or Impact's better than nothing, or Stardom, MLW, AAA, all these places are better than nothing, right? So I don't think them saying that she shouldn't go to AEW right now isn't to knock or discourage her from going. They'd probably be happy for her if she got signed. The reason they're saying that she shouldn't go right now, she wouldn't be a good fit right now, is that the women's division still isn't fully concrete. Now, I know some people might argue that, and that's fine. But when I'm talking about fully concrete, I'm talking about the fact that, even though they have a few names that stand out here and there, a Jade Cargill, a Thunder Rosa, a Britt Baker, a Chris Statlander, a Tony Storm, a Ruby Soho, an Athena, if you will. Those are great names. But three of the ones that I just mentioned, Soho, Tony Storm, and Athena, were already well-renowned names, not just on the indies, but because of their time in WWE. And yeah, they have other talents like Nyla Rose, Karu Ishida, and Riho, and all them. And those are great names and everything. Serena Deeb, but again, Serena Deeb also once part of WWE. So again, they have some talent there, but the depth of the division is not where it should be. And what they're basically saying is because of that, a lot of these women are not getting the opportunity to shine, to stand out. And that at times they're getting lost in the shuffle. I mean, speaking of Thunder Rosa, they bring up the fact that she is not always constantly shown like she should be. Now, some people might argue that she is now being shown, and that's true, she is. But some people might even argue it's because of what she's doing outside of AEW, and Tony Khan's taking, an opportunity to capitalize on that charity, that thing that she's doing. And whether that's true or not, that's up for you to decide. But the thing is, again, a lot of people point out that not even Thunder Rosa is getting a lot of time. Heck, Jade is their TBS champion, undefeated, and she rarely wrestles at times unless she has to defend the title. The last time she wrestled was this past week on Friday against Willow Nightingale? Okay, fine. That's fine, no problem. But the point that I'm getting at, and others are pointing out, is the fact that they're not like Solomonster, like Booker T, it's not to discourage her from going. It's the fact that they would rather her wait until AEW has fully cemented that women's division to the point that you don't just have the people I pointed out as your standout names. Like I said, a Nyla Rose, a Thunder Rosa, a Britt Baker, Chris Statlander, if you will. Not just them. or even a Ty Conte, but also Ty was once part of WWE too, NXT wise. But still, and not just them, or even, the likes of Sheeta, Nyla Rose. When it comes to them wanting her to potentially be in AEW, they'd rather see her be in AEW once that division has more than just those OG names stand out alongside the former WWE talent like Athena, like Ruby Soho. Who else did I mention? Ruby Soho, Athena, Toni Storm. They want them to stand out. They want the division to stand out with more names. Red Velvet's a good name. Kira Hogan. And Red Velvet's another OG name that could stand out. People know who she is, but she's now basically an associate with Jade. She's basically a minion of Jade's, along with Kira Hogan. And these ladies have the talent to be more. Kira Hogan definitely has the talent to be more. But again, the division, even though it's improving, it's part of a roster that's so overbloated that sometimes certain women that should get opportunities, that do get signed to the company, don't get them. And again, they're not trying to knock her from going. They just rather have that division concrete and basically, fully, evolved, if you will, or at least to evolve to a point where everybody stands out. So that when you put a Sasha Banks against a Kira Hogan, it's not just, it's Sasha Banks against Kira Hogan, and then, after that match, you forget about Kira and move on to somebody else. No. If you do a Sasha Banks against a Kira Hogan, it's like, oh man, she's going to take on that that fiery, Kira Hogan, that girl with the red and blue hair coloring in her hair and everything. Oh, who's got a great personality, who shares the same name as one of the, ironically shares the same name as one of the legendary performers in our business. That is what they would wait for. Something like for Kira to have some kind of personality. The same with Red Velvet. Red Velvet has a personality, but there is more to unlock. There is more to unlock with her. The same with Jade. Jade understands the personality perspective, but the in-ring perspective still needs work. But guess what? Once that happens, a match against Sasha would be a banger, would be money. It's a shut up, take my money kind of matchup that people would like to see. The thing is, I'm not disagreeing that AEW wouldn't be a good fit for Sasha Mercedes, if you will. I'm not saying that. I think it'd be a tremendous fit. Lord knows they could use a big star like her with all her connections, in Hollywood, especially through her cousin Snoop Dogg. But still, it's one of those situations that until Tony Khan or whoever he puts in charge of that women's division besides Kenny Omega, gets it down pat to where the women are able to stand out wrestling-wise and character-wise, personality-wise, and not be basically, lost in the shuffle, lost in this conglomerate of a roster. A lot of folks like a Booker T, like a Jason Solomon, would rather her not go just yet and instead try her hand elsewhere. Whether it be Stardom in Japan, whether it be MLW in the featherweight division, whether it be Impact in the Knockouts division, AAA with the women's division, it doesn't matter. Or even just take a break and go do some acting in Hollywood because she can do that. She's proven that with The Mandalorian. So, again, the vibe I'm getting from, Booker T and Jason Solomon, the Solomonster, isn't to discourage her. No, it's not to discourage her, from going to AEW. Again, I think they would be happy if she did, but they'd rather wait until AEW fully balances out and evolves that women's division to a point that when she goes up against the likes of some of the women that I mentioned, like a Kira Hogan, like a Red Velvet, like a Thunder Rosa, like a Britt Baker, like a Chris Statlander, and a Nyla Rose and so on, that when those matches happen, they will mean more because the division would have had the chance to grow and stand out like it should because of the talent it has. But again, I'm not getting the vibes, ladies and gentlemen. I'm not getting those vibes of discouraging her. I think they'd rather her go there. They want, obviously, someone like Solomonster would want her to go there. But right now is not the time until that division is balanced out and everybody has a chance that's in that division to stand out so that anytime they match up against each other or against someone incoming like a Mercedes, a Sasha Banks, if you will, it will mean more. It will mean more in the long run. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys. Comment below, live chat during the premiere. Super thanks will be enabled after the premiere, and live super chats will be enabled during the premiere as well. But do you think Booker T and Solomonster have a point? Or do you think, her going to AEW, won't be that bad at all if she was to go right now? Let me know down below, and in this live chat during the premiere, and I'll talk to you later.